guys, my name is Georgie and welcome back to my channel. I am an online health and fitness coach and I am the founder of Stay Balanced. Now, my role as a coach is to help you find balance within your health and fitness journey once and for all, because life is not fun when we go to extremes. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in, please click the subscribe button to stick around for more. Now, today I'm so excited because I've got a Q&A coming for you guys. Now, I asked on my Instagram, so if you're not following me on Instagram, I'll put it somewhere around here, but it will be in the description box below. Asked a Q&A around anything to do with health, fitness, movement, Hyrox, nutrition, whatever it might be, that you guys have got some burning questions for. I am looking to answer them. Now, I'm not going to be able to answer them all today, but I have chosen 6 which will paint a little bit of a picture about me, about Hyrox, about sustainable habits that can answer your questions a little bit more in a generic form at this point in time, but there will be so many more Q&As to come. Now, if you haven't done so already, please go and grab a coffee, grab a tea, whatever your drink or food of choice might be today, and just get comfy before we start. Okay, so question number 1 was a pretty generic question and I got it asked a few times, which is what actually inspired me to become a health and fitness coach? Now, long story, long story, but I will try and shorten it to the best of my ability. I've always been a sporty kid. I say kid, I am 27 years old, but I was always a sporty kid. I was always that child that was doing athletics, swimming, running, netball, whatever it might be, and I'm glad that my parents got me to just do anything that I enjoyed doing. The love for sport and movement was always there. Unfortunately, hit the age of around 15, 16, and I think like a lot of girls do, kind of question why you are doing the sport and whether it's for the right reasons. Went down the route of continuing to perform in my sports of choice, which were netball and basketball, but unfortunately developed a eating disorder in the process. Sport then allowed me to kind of abuse the fact that I was able to move my body in some capacity and move it in a way that allowed me to get results that probably were not desired, results that I would want now. Now, skinny was the goal, unfortunately, for most of us, and I think it became a concern for me, it became a concern for my family, and I think it got to the point where I just needed to ask for help. And so I did, and I think if you are in that position where you feel you need help and you need support, please reach out to the right people and do your research as well, because everyone's circumstances and situations are different. But ultimately, having gone through that hardship of an eating disorder and fortunate enough to overcome it, I recognised that I really didn't want people to feel like they had to go to those extremes of dieting, extremes of exercising, when in reality, if you get the balance right, that's where the success is. From there, I went to university, I studied sport and exercise science, I got my bachelor's degree in science, I went and studied in strength and conditioning. I then thought, you know what, I kind of want to give this a shot on my own. So that's where Stay Balanced merch pending. No, I'm joking, not yet. So that is where Stay Balanced was born, essentially. Now, I have worked with many women who have achieved success now in their journey, have lost tens of pounds, and for some women, some people have gained weight, some people have built a great relationship with their food and health and fitness. This is why I do what I do. I absolutely love seeing people live their life to the full without feeling like they need to sacrifice anything else in their life. So please never think that you have to sacrifice one area of your life to achieve success in other areas of your life. I want to continue to help people to support that. I wanted to become a coach after everything that I went through personally. I want to help people feel more confident in their own skin. I want people to enjoy the fact that they can go out for meals and not be scared of putting on weight or it ruining their progress, because it doesn't. If you're sticking to the principles of weight loss, weight gain, weight maintenance, performance-based principles for your sport, whatever it might be, if you're sticking to them, there is no magic pill and there is no need to cut out food groups, there's no need to sacrifice social events. It's about playing the smarter and more balanced game. So if you are looking for coaching, and this is not a sale, but if you feel like you are in the position where you do need that accountability, you need that support, and you want that guidance, please click my inquiry form in my bio and I would love to chat to you. So question number 2 that I was getting quite a lot is, How do I help my clients achieve long-term success in their goals? Because everyone's different, aren't they? I'm different. You who is watching is different. We're in completely different bodies, different lifestyles. So how can we apply one way of training, one way of going about food, one way of challenging our mindset? There isn't. There is no one size fits all. There never is. And that's why it's so important to understand your clientele. Now, what is consistent throughout is the word consistency. When we have realistic, sustainable habits, and this is what I teach my clients, that is when you can apply consistency. And when you apply consistency, that is when we see change. And that's what we all want, hey? So I think it's really important to understand that without the realistic habits in place, you can't apply consistency. And this is where everyone sees, for a week, we all jump on that bandwagon of, do you know what, I'm gonna do all of these things 10 times a day, and then we get to the end of the week and go, do you know what, I just can't do it because I've got 3 kids to look after, or I have got a 10-hour shift to complete, and it just becomes unrealistic and unsustainable. And therefore, in terms of the longevity, you're never gonna get to that end goal. So, what we need to understand is, what are your limitations? What are your limitations? What is the time that you have available? Can you get into the gym? Does it need to be a home-based workout? All of these questions I ask my clients because I need to understand them, and I need to understand what they want and how we can get there in the best way possible, so that in a year's time, in 10 years' time, we are still able to maintain the results and the desired results for that specific person. So with that in mind, I ask the question of, do you want to be perfect for 8 weeks, or do you want to be progressive for the next 20 years? And I think that sometimes really hits home, or I hope most of the time that hits home, because if you're only looking for that quick fix, you're going to be stuck again in another 8 weeks' time. So ultimately, what we teach here at Stay Balanced is sustainable habits that are going to get you results, and get you results for the next 20 plus years. So I absolutely love this question, and it is, what does balance mean to me in fitness and life? Now, balance to me means achieving the things that I want to achieve and working hard for them, because I am a firm believer that do not expect things to come your way unless you work hard, but without the sacrifice of big things within my life. Now, whether that be friendships, relationships, eating out, missing on social occasions, holidays, whatever it may be, it's without the expense of my mental and physical health. Balance is all about being in this flow-like state, and I try and explain this to my clients a little bit more. No one is in a state of complete equilibrium unless you are a robot. Life throws curveballs on a day-to-day basis, and it's being able to cope with those curveballs. In terms of, for me, I absolutely love training for Hyrox, and I love it because it makes me feel amazing, because it's focusing on performance, it's not very much focusing on aesthetics. I feel such a sense of achievement from that. It allows me to then go and enjoy other areas of my life, which is going and socializing and eating out and not being restricted with food. And that allows me to feel so much joy, because in the past, my younger self, that wasn't achievable. But the main thing that I want to talk about here is that balance looks different for everyone, and that's totally fine. I think what's important here is to understand what works for you. Just like the amount of food that I need is not the same as the amount of food you need. Just like the clothes that I like to wear might not be the clothes that you like to wear. The way that you are going to remain balanced is by finding the things that you enjoy within your life. And that does not mean that you are confined to the 4 walls of the gym. Okay, or 8 walls or 6, whatever it is. It's about finding things that work for you and work for you in the long term, but not at the expense of missing out on other areas of my life that bring me complete and utter joy. So if I was sacrificing that just purely to focus on this element, which is Hyrox and Hyrox training, and it takes a lot of time and a lot of energy, I wouldn't be balanced. I would be going and pushing to those extremes. So what I need to do is bring those areas of my personal life back into my areas of performance, and that kind of offsets me a little bit in a good way. So I know you've heard me say the word Hyrox. Hyrox seems to be the hype at the moment, and you know what, I'm all here for it because I absolutely love it. So for those of you that don't know, Hyrox is a hybrid competition between strength and endurance. So in short, It's about being able to lift the heaviest weights and run at the fastest times possible over an 8 kilometer distance. To break it down a little bit more, you have 8 kilometers worth of running. They're split into 1 kilometer splits, and after every 1 kilometer you complete a station. And on those stations, they might be endurance based, they might be strength based. So you have like a 1 kilometer ski, a 1 kilometer row, lunges, burpees, sled push. So what I'll do actually is I'll link the Hyrox sort of criteria as such, so that you guys can go and look at it, because it's available for anyone, whether you are a beginner, whether you are a performance athlete. I would encourage you wholeheartedly to challenge yourself to do something like this, because the feeling of accomplishment is honestly incredible. The atmosphere is amazing. It's the best community. So I don't want to sound preachy or anything, but give it a go. Preparing for that though is pretty difficult. So it's about striking a balance between your strength training, your compromised running, and obviously your recovery. How do I prepare for a Hyrox? Now, if you are a beginner and this is the first time that you have done a Hyrox, or you're about to do a Hyrox, I would suggest that you probably need an absolute minimum of 3 months, a 12-week split. Ideally between 14 to 16 weeks if you can, just because it's tough. It really is tough, mentally and physically, and you want to be able to give yourself the best opportunity to go and perform on the day, but also really enjoy it, because that's a huge part of competing as well. So I would say 12 weeks is an absolute minimum. If you can, 14 to 6 weeks would be absolutely fantastic. If you are a runner already, you are in an amazing position at this point in time, because running is such a huge part of it. Obviously you have 8 kilometers, but there is something called the rock zone, which is the space between the in and the out of the stations. So therefore there's a lot more running technically than 8 kilometers worth. So if you're already a runner, you're in an amazing position to get started, but 12 weeks would probably be my go-to. My week would usually include 3 runs, whether that be like a long run, an interval run, a compromised run, so that I can be able to deal with the fact that I'm gonna have very fatigued legs, a lower strength session to build the fundamentals, an upper body strength session, and then potentially like another compromised strength session. So ultimately, I'll train around like 6 times a week, always have 1 full rest day or an active rest day. And if I feel like I need 2 full rest days, then I will just pair together 2 of my sessions that are complementary to one another. I think the best thing about performance-based competitions for me personally, especially coming from the background that I've had with an eating disorder, is that the focus is so different and the community is so inspiring, to the point where you've got 25-year-old Adam, who is a performance athlete, and then you've got 6-year-old Pam, who is like, I'm just going to give it a go and see how we get on. It's absolutely amazing, and the applause for both of them is equal. So I just love the fact that the focus is on about what your body is capable of achieving from a performance perspective, rather than do you have 2, 4 or 6 abs, because you are focusing on those performance metrics, and those performance metrics allow you to see change within your competitions. As a result as well, your body composition might be in more of a desired state for you. So, but it allows you to take the focus and the pressure off, which is fantastic. And I would encourage that wholeheartedly to, if you feel stuck and you feel like all you're focusing on is how you look, try something performance-based, and I promise you'll probably be in a better mindset and a better physical position as well. So moving on to our next question, and that is, what are some of the most common mistakes that you see people doing within their health and fitness journeys? Now, the main one is their initial mindset. Their mindset towards this quick fix, this crash diet. I've got a holiday in 8 weeks' time, so I'm gonna make sure that I cut back on everything so that I look my smallest self when I'm out there. So already going into that situation with that mindset is going to cause you to feel that you have to restrict, that you have to remove food groups, that you have to go and do training 9 times a week and cardio an hour of every single day. It's just unnecessary. And I think the main thing here is that people try and achieve a list as long as their arm, when ultimately they probably need to focus on 2 or 3 habits and really nail them to see long-term results. Now, don't get me wrong, all diets work, they really do. But They only work because they're abiding by one thing, and that is the principle of fat loss or weight loss, and that is a calorie deficit. So there's no magic pill. There really is no quick fix. The issue here is you'll get to the end of that 8-week cut and you'll go on your holiday and you'll recognize that you haven't learned any new behaviors that you can actually take forward with you. So I think from the get-go, challenge your mindset of what you want. As I mentioned before, do you want to feel great in 8 weeks' time, or do you want to feel amazing in 20 years? I think another one for me is people solely focusing on numbers, whether that be scale weight, whether that be the weights that they are hitting. Now, don't get me wrong, each week, if you are in a gym-based program where you are focusing on strength-based movements, there wants to be an element of focusing on progressive overload, whether that's through frequency, whether that is through load, through the weights that you are lifting. But ultimately, you are not going to be able to do that week in, week out. So just like anything, you might plateau for a little bit and then you might be able to increase in strength, then you plateau again. So it's understanding that the journey is not linear. And if you solely focus on numbers, you are going to be disappointed from the get-go. So for example, someone might have a graph where they're losing weight, they increase in weight. If they stopped here, none of this would have happened. And none of my clients' weight graphs are like this. They are if you draw a point from here to here, but ultimately, this is showing life. This is showing a holiday. This is showing, time off from work. It's understanding that you're always going to be in that flow-like state, okay? And not giving up on that first hurdle is really important, and not letting one number define you. Instead, what I would do is I would encourage you to focus on how do you feel? How are your energy levels? How's your relationship with food? How's your relationship with your body? How is your sleep? They're all those basic fundamentals that are so important to your long-term success. Think about the bigger picture. Please do not define yourself by one sole number. Your mindset dictates everything that you do. And I say this to my clients all the time, no matter who they are, whether they are that amazing mum, whether they are that career-driven person, whether they are a single 21-year-old. So your mindset dictates everything that you do. And I think it's really important to shift that mindset from that quick fix to what do you want to be and where do you want to be in 20 years' time? Because ultimately what you do now is going to be the results of that. Okay, so we're on to our last question for today, and that is, what is my one biggest piece of advice for someone starting their health and fitness journey? My main piece of advice would be, what can you realistically achieve from the start? Do not overwhelm yourself. Now, the health and fitness industry is full of information, like most, and it can be really hard to distinguish what is right, what is wrong. My piece of advice would be to focus on small, manageable tasks. Please do not start big. What we want to start on is focusing on the realistic element of what you can achieve. Once something's realistic, you are likely to find enjoyment within it and then stick to it. And then we're applying that element of consistency, and that's where we can see the long-term success come into play. Now, I do not want you to be focusing on 10 things at once. I want you to focus on a nutritional element. I want you to focus on a movement element and a mindset element. That might be as simple as increasing your protein intake, setting yourself a step goal, a 5-minute journal. Please do no more. Focus on making these 3 habits as consistent as possible. It really is important to be patient with yourself and understand that results do not happen overnight. I can't even think about when I changed as a person. It just, one day I was like, right, I'm no longer in this body that I was 10 years ago. I am no longer in the body that I was 5 months ago. Change happens without us realizing, but it's happening because we're putting in the work of those habits. Recognize that your journey is unique for you. So please don't expect results to happen overnight. Just like one healthy meal doesn't make you healthy and one indulgent meal doesn't make you gain weight, it's not gonna happen like that. Okay, it comes from the consistency in those habits, because you are putting in the work, and I know that you are, and I'm going to be rooting for you to continue to do that, because I can guarantee you in a year's time you'll be thanking yourself. So celebrate those small wins, whether that is hitting your step goal, whether that is doing your first Hyrox, whether that is just wearing a sports bar to the gym and feeling confident within your clothing. Whatever it is, write it down, celebrate it, because it is those small wins that add up over time to something really, really powerful. And most importantly, please just enjoy the process. Like, so many people go into health and fitness and thinking, I'm actually going to kill myself in the gym, I'm going to do this, and it's more of this punishment mentality. Fitness is not a form of punishment. Food is not a form of punishment. It's an opportunity for you to feel strong, feel healthier, feel energized, confident and comfortable within your body. When you find what works for you, it stops feeling like a chore. It stops feeling like you're constantly pressing this on and off button to be on this diet or be on this next cut. You just do it because you want to, and you do it because there's a level of enjoyment there and you've recognized the benefits from a physical and mental health perspective. Find that level of enjoyment. So guys, that is it for today with the Q&A. I hope that answers some of your questions around who I am, why I am a coach, a little bit about Hyrox, a little bit about any sort of mistakes that you're probably making within health and fitness, and understanding to just take it one step at a time. Now, I am so excited to be doing more Q&As with you. Lots more vlogs to be coming your way. I've got my London Hyrox competition at the end of the month, which I'm going to be vlogging. So a lot more content, which is super exciting. Now, if you haven't done so already, please, 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 can I ask that you like, share, subscribe, comment, whatever it is that you want to do around here. It really, really does help me out. So I'll see you next time, guys. Stay balanced.